Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. My name is John, and in this video I'm going to be going over the Python task within Gaio. So the Python task, it's pretty self-explanatory. It allows you to use Python within Gaio as opposed to SQL or using our builders, things like that. Mainly we use it for data science, machine learning, or kind of advanced statistical analysis. That might not be so easy to do within SQL, but I'm sure there's many other creative uses out there for it. Anybody who's maybe more used to Python than I am might have more uses, but I have 3 examples here just to kind of show off some of the basics and what we've used it here so far at Gaio. So to start off, you can find the Python task within the tasks menu under Analytics and Python. And unlike some of the other tasks, you won't have to have a table selected. It will just create a new task that you can go in and edit. So I have 3 examples here of varying, but to start with, I'm just going to use this one, which basically is creating a sample data set for fraud. And the first thing you'll want to do if you're doing anything in Python is set up your environment. So here you can see that it shows the Python version as well as packages. And now this is, if you've used Python before, just think of this as, installing your package. Instead of having to call it in the code itself, you do it here in the environment. So you type all the packages that you want to use, and then you'll click save and install. And even though I've done this already, I'm just going to redo it just for demonstration's sake. So I want pandas, numpy, faker, datetime, and this learn. So let's save and install. I skipped ahead a little bit just so you didn't have to wait for the whole process. I think it took maybe 30 seconds. But to make sure you know when it's done, you'll get this message here at the bottom, just environment setup done. So you'll know everything installed correctly. If you don't get this message, then maybe there was an error somewhere, a package didn't install correctly or something like that. But now going back into the code, you can see that we're basically just creating a randomized database for random companies, amounts, transaction dates, things like that. I don't think there's anything too complicated in here. We want 5,000 rows in our table, 5% of them are fraud, just for later because we're going to be detecting the fraud and things like that. But yeah, so because I'm not writing any of this right now, I'm just going to be executing it. Now, if you do want to go through and have some of this, look through any of the code more in depth, see what I'm doing here, feel free to pause the video and look through it. I just, for the sake of example, we're not necessarily using this for anything specific. It's just creating data. So I'm just going to go ahead and execute. And when it starts, you'll get this message here saying started. And then when it ends successfully with no errors, you'll get this message here saying ended. Sometimes we'll have it, the console output some type of message just to know where it's at. But I think that's fairly standard. But these are just default messages in Gaio. And you'll also want to make sure to save. When you execute, it just executes the code, it doesn't save it. So make sure to save when it executes correctly, just so everything is all good. And now the second example is this machine learning example. So let me open up Python. And now this is separate from the AutoML task within Gaio. Just using Python allows you to have a little bit more customization over things like models, specific variables, things like that. So basically, our environment is exactly the same. I'm not going to reinstall any of these packages just for the sake of time. But let's see. So we're querying this temporary table that we just created, tmp_fraud. We're making sure that the transaction dates are actually in datetime format, as well as the hour. We're making sure that, is fraud is an integer and that the amounts are in a float. We are making sure that the important variables we're checking for are amount and hour, and the variable we want our machine learning model to test for is _fraud column. And here we are, training the model. We, create a column for prediction. We print the classification report, and then we treat all our columns for exporting into a new table. This table we create down here, TMP _fraud ML result, and then we insert all of our results into the table. So I'm just going to execute this, and you can see it output the classification report. And we also have this down here, this print message, just to make sure that everything is correct. But we also have the started and ended default messages like before. So I'm just going to save these and open up the resulting table, and you can see that it has predicted this specific one here to be fraud. You can see it's quite a large amount compared to the rows close to it. Now, I'm not displaying all the rows here, but if I click here and look at the average is 449. So it's significantly above the average. So I think the machine learning model did its job here. Now, I'm not going to look at everything just for the sake of time again, but that's just an example of using Python for machine learning. If you want to have more control over the variables, things like maybe the model you're using, things like that. You have experience with machine learning already using Python. I know a lot of data scientists like to use Python. You can do that here in Gaio. And now finally, I'm going to show off an example where we find the IQR, just a little bit more of advanced statistical analysis. Again, our environment is the same. How we're selecting all of our rows from the TMP _fraud table again. We're making sure the date time is correct in the correct format and not going to cause any errors, just like we did before. Here we are calculating the IQR using the quantile function. We're going to mark outliers and anomalies. We're going to make sure all of our columns are in the right data type so that we can output them to the table, TMP _fraud _IQR _result. Now let's just run this, and you can see that the database saved with 338 rows. And let's check our result, and it looks like our anomaly detection, we're only outputting rows that were detected as anomalies. So obviously here all of the rows are going to be of the value 1. And yeah, that's just another example of more advanced statistical analysis, or even with the ML, like data science, using the Python task. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more you can do here, but these are just examples. Feel free to be creative. If you're maybe more comfortable using Python for some of your calculations and things like that, it connects really easily to ClickHouse tables, and you can add it to your flow really easily and things like that. So but yeah, our documentation will be linked below, and as always, our customer service team is always willing to support to answer any questions you may have. And thank you so much.